Rite in the Reins quickly became a product that I use daily, both professionally and in my off time. I recently made an order online and picked up the Dirtbag, which is a part of the Monsoon product line. The Rite in the Rain Dirtbag Pouch is designed to connect directly to one of their hardcover books, or a book of equal size. Doesn't necessarily have to be Rite in the Rain. The pouch is sleek, waterproof, and has organizational features to help you keep your gear organized when you're out in the field. All right, so let's move right into the specs on the pouch. Overall length, we have about 8 inches, and then with a width of about 4.5 inches. The exterior shell of the pouch is constructed with TPU, or thermoplastic polyurethane. All of the seams on this pouch are fused or welded together to try to give you as much waterproofing as you can. Now, there have been a couple claims that this is waterproof and water resistant, and we'll test that later, but hopefully you can see the fused connection with this zipper, giving it a better chance to become a little bit more water resistant or waterproof. On the outside of the pouch, there are 3 pen loops to help you keep your writing utensils organized. And just behind those, there are 2 slots, which are designed for you to be able to place cards in there. So whether you're using it for a professional setting and you're using a fuel card or a gate access card there, or you're using this to stay organized at the range and you get your ID or maybe your CHL in there. With the water resistant zipper, this should help you keep your items organized and also keep sensitive items like paper or phones, electronics, things like that that aren't necessarily waterproof. Keep the direct water off of them. On the exterior of this, you do have a little D-ring, which you can use to connect items to, like a carabiner, or you can use it to connect your keys, anything like that. It's also an option to connect it to a lanyard or a leash, so that way you don't have to necessarily be holding onto the product at all times, or if you drop it from an elevated space, it doesn't fall all the way down. All right, moving over to the very back of the pouch, there's an adjustable band, and that is what allows you to slide the pouch over a book. Now, you don't have to use it to slide over a book, but that is its original intent. You can also use it to affix it to other things. Really simple adjustment for the back band. We have a loop here where this follows through, and then we also have Velcro. So just by moving the length of the Velcro, you'll be able to adjust for larger or smaller books. I'd like to try to see just how waterproof or water resistant this pouch is. I've removed the back strap so it's a little bit less to have to dry once we're done with this test. But what I'll do is I'll be placing a folded up piece of line paper into the pouch and then zipping it and then holding it underwater for different increments of time. I'm using line paper so that we can hopefully see any distortion in the ink, which will easily show if moisture or water has gotten into the bag. All right, so we'll put the paper in the bag and zip it up and just do a really quick plunge. All right, and the paper is dry. All right, second test. Let's try and hold this under for 5 seconds, see what that does. And I just wiped my wet hand on the back of that, but the paper is dry, except for where I got a little bit of moisture on it with my fingers. All right, next test, we'll do 10 seconds. And the paper is dry. So it looks like after the 10-second test, there is a little, see if we can get it on camera, little water drop in there. You just saw shoot across the bottom there. So I'm gonna dry this out and see if that's just from me dripping into the bag itself or if water's starting to get through. All right, we'll move on from 10 seconds to 20 seconds. And paper's dry. All right, so for our last test, we're gonna try going for a full minute. So we'll zip the paper back up in there and we'll dunk it for an entire minute. All right, let's see how it did. And well, paper is dry except for my wet fingers that just got all over it. Pouch is dry on the inside. I'd say this thing is at least waterproof for a minute. So the bubbles coming out of it, I'm not entirely sure what that is. I'm assuming it has something to do with like maybe small air pockets behind this or air being released out from back behind the Velcro. So a couple of initial thoughts I have for modifications or things that you can do with this pouch is kind of again what we recently talked about, where you can attach basically this to a lanyard. So if you're working in an elevated spot, like if you're doing something associated with forestry or tree cutting or alignment, anything when you're working at like an elevated level, you can create your own leash either to your belt or another fixed object. So that way if you do drop this, then it stays kind of dangling there and you can retrieve it with the leash. Another thing you could use it for is for attaching things with a carabiner. So like in this instance, you can have some gloves, put your keys there, and whatever it is that you want to attach, have it right there. Another helpful modification you can do is take a small amount of 550 cord. Basically, I just add a pull tab to the end of this. This is going to be super crucial if you're using it in poor weather. As you start to lose dexterity in your fingers, this kind of gives you a little bit more of a rigid tab to pull against, making it easier to operate the zipper. Couple possible applications you could use this pouch for is a navigation kit. Obviously you can have pencils and pens on the front, and then in here I just have a compass. I have an additional Rite in the Rain notebook, and then some cards that I can use to take notes as well, or I can use the ranging side of these cards. There's a lot of great uses that you can gear this pouch and its contents towards. Another potential for options is for hiking, hunting, fishing, things like that. Keeping your components that you would like to keep dry inside the pouch, and then things that are quickly accessible like the writing utensils and maybe a fishing license or your ID on the outside. And then maybe a book on the back, so that way you can log different fishing or hunting spots, hiking spots, things that you'd like to come back to. You can take notes on coordinates or areas on a map to revisit. For the fly fisherman, you could probably keep a small fly box in there to try to keep added moisture off of it. What I will likely be using this pouch for is kind of a range pouch. So this will be attached to this book here. And then I'll have like some range reference cards. I'll have my bullet drop compensation chart in here, keeping it dry. And then I'll have the larger notebook so that I can take notes, so that I can continue to gather information from the shots that I'm taking, whether it's feet per second, muzzle velocity, stuff like that. Just kind of wrapping up, the pouch kind of surprised me. I didn't think it was going to be waterproof, or waterproof to the extent in which it is. I figured maybe a couple seconds under submerged water and it would keep moisture off of the paper inside, but I mean, we did a minute and it stayed dry in there, so kind of exceeded my expectations there. With many different applications like fishing, hunting, navigating, using it for a professional job site, or really just every day, I'm pretty happy with my purchase from Rite in the Rain. If you guys like this video, like, comment, say what you might use this pouch for if you were to have one or if you are going to buy one. If there's any other content or information that you would like us to go over, review, anything like that, leave us a comment so that way we can understand what you guys actually want to see. If you're interested, swing by our website, JS Outdoors LLC. We have some medical equipment on there, some fire starters, small things here and there. And if you don't do any of that, at least just go outside and enjoy yourself. Consider training, firearms training, working out, doing things along that nature, and doing it to an intensity so that way that you're actually benefiting from it. And then keep it up. Keep it going. The best thing you can do for yourself is to be physically fit, and then also when you're utilizing tools, like if you're carrying a concealed handgun, it's best to be able to use those items like it's an extension of your body. And the only way you can do that is through repetitive practice. So make sure you are practicing with everything that you're doing, no matter what the subject matter may be, and enjoy yourself out there.